On this episode of the Digital Marketing Punkcast, we are talking about the dullest of all dullest topics, but fortunately I have the best of all best guests to be able to guide us through the weird and wonderful world of Google Ads. Let's do it.
The Digital Marketing Punkcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the active resistance against bad digital marketing. This is the Digital Marketing Punkcast. This is episode number 30, episode number 30. And it was recorded in, it was actually recorded in May in 2020. Okay, so here we go. Google Ads. Google Ads is one of these things, okay? So I work for an agency, it's Inner4. We have so many Google Ads campaigns that are running. The one thing that makes Google Ads work so well. So you might think, look, Google Ads, it's so dull, it's so boring. We've got Facebook now, we've got Twitter now, we've got Snapchat now, we've got bloody TikTok now. And you might think, who cares about Google Ads? It's so unsexy. And you know what? You're right. It is not very sexy whatsoever. However, it works so damn well for so many people. Not everybody, but it does work so damn well for so many people. And if you've not even thought about Google Ads in the past, then you should really consider it, because what other platform allows you to tap into an audience that's already looking or thinking about the thing that you provide or offer. Okay, someone types in a search query, I want shoes. They don't type in that, they will probably type in shoes, and your website can then appear. It's perfect. Okay, the people get literally what they want. So I have got on the show today Mark Flavin from Cliq Media, who is going to tell us, he's got so many Google Ads clients, he's an absolute legend in the Google Ads world. He's going to tell us all about some of the really common mistakes that people make when it comes to Google Ads. And if you're one of these people that may have thought about Google Ads in the past, but thought, you know what? It's complicated, it's technical, I don't get it, I'm scared, I'm worried. Listen to what Mark has to say, because some of his advice is absolute gold, and he'll be able to tell you, you can start really small, and if you're clever about it, you can grow. So let's get into it. This is Mark Flavin from Cliq Media. Because it can be relatively boring talking about Google Ads, and I didn't want a boring as fuck person talking about Google Ads. I wanted an interesting person talking about Google Ads.
Well, you found the right boring person to talk to.
I found the right. Don't let me down, Mark.
I can do it. I'll start the TikTok dance in the middle between each topic.
Yeah, that's what all the kids are doing, right? That's how it's going. So yeah, we'll talk about that. It is cool. I mean, it's really important. I mean, the majority of our work is Google Ads and stuff like that. So it's I say the majority of our work. So it is kind of important. A lot of it sort of runs in parallel to what we do. So it's kind of key. But let's talk about it. So yeah. I'm going to kick off. I'm just make sure my phone is on silent because it just.
We haven't kicked off already. I thought we kicked off.
Oh, we can call this as kickoff. We can call this kickoff. Let's give it a next shot. I'm gonna be true professional. There we go. Right. Am I okay? I'm okay. Right. Joining me here today, I have Mark Flavin from Cliq. How are you doing?
Good, Tom. Now, man, how are you keeping?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. Now I'm reciprocating a favor. Well, I say a favor. I came onto your podcast.
You did us a favor, Tom.
Oh no! This is the actual favor. This is actually someone with brains coming onto a podcast talking about, rather than just me, the chump,
someone with a large for you for the next 20 minutes.
Not at all. That's not going to be the case. So we're going to talk about Google Ads. Now, it's a hot day today. So I'm going to be drinking this, and I apologize. I've got a metal straw because I care about the environment, and I've got a glass, which is going to make a lot of noise.
And only the smallest amount of vodka.
Yes, and only the smallest amount of whiskey involved, because it's a nice iced coffee. And who knew that you could add whiskey to iced coffee? And it's the hottest day in the world, so I've not got the window open for audio reasons. I've got the door closed for audio reasons, so I'm going to slowly melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. So just bear with me. Google Ads. Now, It's one of those things I always find Google Ads. It's not talked about a lot. It's almost, it's not sexy.
No.
It's one of those things where people sort of go, it's implied that you're necessarily going to do it. It's always going to be one of those things that you inevitably end up talking about with a client, but it's always behind closed doors. Why is Google Ads not sexy, Mark?
I think because it's probably not sexy because of the creative side of it. When you're doing Facebook ads, you can have a huge amount of creativity in it. Whereas your creativity levels at that top of those little search terms at the very, very top of Google with those little ads, your creativity comes down to a very small amount of copy. That certainly takes away the sexiness. Now, we're a Google Ads partner. We love Google Ads. It's like our bread and butter. It's what we love doing. So for us, it is sexy, very sexy. But I can understand why it's not for a lot of people. But I suppose the big thing with Google Ads for us is in terms of measuring your marketing performance. Like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, fantastic platform, brilliant for reaching brand, brilliant for conversion as well. But there is nothing like a great Google Ads campaign when it comes to like return on ad spend. So it's not sexy from the point of view of the creatives around it, let's say, or from the campaign builds or anything like that. But from the results it can deliver for businesses, I think it's an absolutely fantastic platform. And of course, it's a well-established platform as well, which means there's a rake of competition on the platform. So depending on the industry you're in, it can be quite tough. But I think at the moment, what's happening is a lot of businesses are opening up. They're jumping on Google Ads. They're doing it for themselves. Which is great. It's great to see people getting involved in these platforms that can potentially grow their business an awful lot. But by default, when you set up a Google Ads campaign, you're going to end up with a lot of shit traffic coming to your website if you don't take some do some like really simple tweaks, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit on a really good point there, which was talking about Facebook and Instagram, because I think it's important to make that separation, because you're absolutely right. They are both fantastic ad platforms. They do a really good job, and in their place, they can be very, very effective. But let's discuss, because if I want one aim to come out of this conversation, Mark, is that I want to make Google Ads sexy. And I'm not sure if that is an achievable goal, but let's see how we go. But the one separating factor that Google Ads has, well, let's talk about that. What is that separating factor that Google has out of, certainly when we're talking about search, okay, I think is the key part of this. What is that separating factor between Google Ads and the likes, the sexy products out there, which are Facebook and Instagram ads?
I boil it down to two words: buyer intent.
Yeah.
If you're using an exact match keyword within Google Ads, that person is interested in buying that specific product. So let's just say garden trampolines, for example, right?
Classic product.
Classic product. We have a client who sells them. That's what I came from.
Get that plug in. Give any opportunity.
So you go to Google, you say, trampolines for sale online. That person has massive buyer intent. The credit card's out, they're ready, they're ready to go. That is the big thing with Google. You don't particularly get that on Facebook. There are lots of audiences, with remarketing. There are lots of other ways to get in front of the people who you think may have the interest in that purchase, but you don't have that literally there now in the buying moment, ready to go. And that is what makes Google Ads sexy. You are getting right in front of the person at the moment they are ready to purchase your product.
Absolutely. And that is so powerful when you think about it. Google has made itself a product which is essentially so much further down that buying journey, I suppose. Like you say, they've essentially, if that query is triggered, then that person has essentially got their card in their hand. It's so much further down that customer journey than, say, Facebook is or Instagram is. So Google Ads, why isn't everybody doing it? Because it is a fact that not everybody's doing it.
I suppose I'm in it, so I feel everyone we work with is doing it, because we highly recommend it.
But you must have clients that come to you and they're not doing it, and you're like, why are you not doing it?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I think one of the reasons are it's kind of the same why people aren't doing anything online is they have an established business. It's the thing they're doing things the way they've always done it. Okay, that's so many businesses that we all know. The other reason I think is people, like with any platform going out starting doing things themselves, there's probably a bit of fear there.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anyone. There's so many great resources on YouTube. Google will provide you with great resources. They're just, sign up for an account, put 50 quid into it, and just play around with it and test it. Because that's the way you're really going to get to see the power of these things. But in terms of why businesses aren't doing it, I think it's the same way they don't do anything else online. They just don't know if it's going to get them the results or not. And if business is chugging away, they're like, why would we? But I mean, the great thing with Google is like, you can get to the point of here's how much I spent this month and here's how much revenue I brought in.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you can do that with most digital marketing, but it's such an amazing platform to come back to that buyer intent. And within Google, sorry, yeah, go ahead, man.
No, it's tangible, isn't it? Like you say, it is that tangible element of being able, because you are right, you can do that with other forms of digital marketing, but it's more difficult to tangibly feel that it is than SEO, for example, or your organic social media output. With Google Ads, it's fully tangible. You can feed that money in. My boss has a great analogy, which I kind of hate, and sometimes I have to reel him in because he goes away and he does I say he's my boss. I call him that because that's completely antiquated because we're actually colleagues now. We're on the same level, but but anyway, he has this analogy. When he goes away and sells, he says the same thing, which is he always says that Google Ads is like a one-arm bandit in the corner, which in the corner of the room, which is if you pull the lever on it, it's always going to spit out money. And I keep saying to him, that's a broken one-arm bandit for a start. And the other side of it is, it's not always the case like that. You have to get it right. Okay, you have to keep tweaking and fiddling with it and hitting it with a hammer, this one-hand bandit, before the money keeps spitting out every single time. But once you get your Google Ads to a place and your client's in the right position, then it can be like that. You keep feeding a quid in, and sometimes you can get 5 quid out each and every single time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're an e-commerce site, then you can scale it as well. So you might start that off, in your local market. Then you know what works. Now, not everything works in different markets, obviously, but you've got a lot of data going forward to help you make it work in different markets. So that's the great thing with it. Then you can scale it. And you can scale it massively. Yeah.
The other thing is, I suppose, it kind of feeds into that question of why don't people use Google Ads as much, or at least talk about using Google Ads as much? Is it's resistance in terms of uptake. Do people feel a little bit scared by it? Because we both use the platform on a daily basis, we've got used to it, and I know, do people fear it because they don't know what they're getting into? It's too complicated. We know personally that Google has made massive leaps and bounds, certainly in the past 2 years maybe now, in terms of rebranding, changing the user experience. The whole front end of Google Ads has completely changed now. They've wanted to reduce that path of resistance to get people on board and using the platform. Do you think that well, first of all, my first part of that question is, do you think that's helped in terms of people getting onto the platform? Or are we seeing, is it a case of we're now seeing much more competition on the platform? It's become a lot more difficult.
I think it probably has helped in terms of getting people onto the platform. Whether it's doing right for those people getting onto the platform is another question. Because I mean, you go on by default, and if you follow the steps through when you're starting off for the first time, by default you're using broad match keywords. So let's just say you're a restaurant owner in Wigan, you're like, I'm going to bid on the keyword restaurant Wigan. That's perfect. That's exactly what my business does. But then, someone types in restaurant jobs Wigan, someone types in Chinese restaurant Wigan. By default, why they're putting in a broad, for the user, obviously it means more revenue for them because it's more impressions and more clicks. But I do feel that certainly they have simplified it an awful lot. The user interface has gotten better, but there are things they're doing that I would say are more advantageous to them than the user. A really good example, now they've stopped it because of COVID, is the Google Partner Platform. One of the requirements that they are putting on us in terms of keeping our Google Partner status is to implement the opportunities that they see. So they have their machine learning and artificial intelligence and all that. But a lot of those opportunities are terrible. But they're basically saying as part of their partner program, you must implement them. Now, there may be workarounds you can implement them and deactivate them straight away. We'll see what happens. But definitely, yes, 100%. It is easier now than ever for anybody to get on and start doing their own Google Ads, 100%. If you are doing it, though, first thing to do is just do a little bit of research on keyword match, just so you understand that if I put this keyword in with no brackets around it, with no inverted commas around it, you could potentially be getting a lot of traffic and people clicking your ad who have no interest in your product whatsoever. That for me is key for anybody setting up. The first thing to do that when you're setting up your own Google Ads, just do a little bit of research around keyword match.
I remember, and I suppose we're going to get around to what we actually came on this conversation to do. We were talking about common mistakes and common errors, but I remember one thing very early in my career when I was working at a different agency, and I took on my first big, large Google Ads client, and it was very daunting, very, very scary. They were spending a huge amount of money per day, or it probably wouldn't be as large now if I thought about it, but at the time I was like, oh my God, this is so much money. And I remember taking this on, and I remember this guy used to be just sort of around the corner of the office that I was working with, and he would storm in because we'd have an open front door. He'd storm in every morning or so because he would go, "What's going on with the Google Ads?" And I went, "What the hell do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, the phone's not ringing." And I went, right, okay. And that was his metric to be able to say if the Google Ads was working. And what I'd have to do, I don't know if this guy, he was very old, I suppose. I don't know if he forgot a lot, but I'd have to sit him down every time and go, you need to realize that I track everything. You know, if someone picks up the phone in your office, I can see that from here. Just because you've walked past your reception area and the phone isn't ringing in that 3 seconds that you've gone past the corridor, that doesn't mean that you are not making the same amount of money that you were making yesterday. So please don't take me as a fool. I see everything. I see much more than you do. And my point is conversion tracking is probably one of the biggest faux pas that I see. People aren't tracking what they need to see.
No, and I think that is probably difficult for, we'll say, the small business owner who's jumping on it themselves. But 100%. I mean, if you can't measure it, you don't know what's happening. I mean, like you said, you can measure everything: form fillouts, e-commerce purchases, calls, click to call buttons on mobile. You can track absolutely everything. And over time, with that data, then you can see, which keywords are really performing well. Separate those out into smaller ad groups and get more niche and more niche and more niche and more niche. So it is, yeah. I mean, we even love it from an SEO point of view, because if you know the keywords that are really working for your business, brilliant. Let's move all our content team to start producing really good information around those keywords.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, I suppose we're jumping into the SEO side of things now, but for sure you don't know. Okay, I know this keyword will work for my business. You don't actually know that.
Absolutely.
But if you test it out in Google Ads, you're like, okay, we've got a good amount of traffic on it. There's good conversion rates. We know this is something long-term we should be looking at.
That is really true. And actually it doesn't even matter what keyword research tool that you use for SEO purposes. I suppose the most effective keyword research that you can do is actually funneling that traffic through Google Ads, because you get to see impression data, you get to see click-through data obviously to a level, to a degree, but I suppose click-through data feeds into the fact that how far down a user is in that user journey, in terms of being able to convert or looking at stuff, or whether just being very, very passive. You could get, and I suppose the old classic is, every SEO 101 keyword research teaching resource that there is will all say, hey, if you go and look at trainers, someone using the search term trainers can be a very passive keyword. That could be anything. That could be someone trying to find the etymology of the word trainer at the end of the day. So it can be a very
trainer. Could be anything.
Precisely. It's a very, very it could be a very, very passive keyword, but it looks like some people see dollar signs because they see, oh, it's got 100,000 monthly page views. That's not the case, and that doesn't mean that you're going to get money from it at the end of the day. Which I suppose I want to bring back to the point that you made earlier, this idea of broad match, because I have to have the same conversations with clients, as I'm sure you do on a recurring basis. You mentioned before about these match types when it comes to Google Ads. You have, and I want to stick with the simple trio, not going into sort of broad match modifiers and all that kind of stuff, because I think I will make people's brains melt. But if we stick with this idea of there are 3 match types, aren't there? There is broad match, there's phrase match, and there's exact match. And you mentioned before, if you stick with broad match, then you're going to get a very loose link between the word that you have entered, the key phrase that you have entered in, and what people search for and what gets triggered.
Yeah.
Why then would we not do the complete opposite of that? Because that would probably be a lot of clients' first instincts is going, okay, well, I'm just going to go everything exact match where only that word will ever get triggered. Why would I not do that?
It comes down to discovery, really. I mean, like you said there, you can use every keyword research tool on the planet, but until you actually have the hard data from Google, you don't know. Mm-hmm. So broad match has its place. I mean, if you want to find what people are searching around particular terms, then you can go up to predefined reports, basic, and search terms reports, and pull out the actual keyword searches that took place.
Yeah.
So that's extraordinarily valuable data. Now you see a lot of crap in there, and that's where things like using phrase and exact rather than the broad comes in. Mm-hmm. So the reason you don't want to go, okay, I'm only doing exact match and doing nothing else, just exact, is because you don't know for sure what's going to convert. You don't know for sure what people are searching. So when you do use things like phrase, you those two keywords, let's say you have a phrase match for pick an industry or a business.
I'm going to pick the industry, which I was just alluding to before, which, again, talking about making Google Ads sexy, guys, I'm going to pick an industry which was sewage pumping. This guy that used to come in every morning going, my phone's not ringing. And, I had to bite my tongue to go, maybe it's because of the industry that you've chosen to be in that the phone's not ringing.
Combining the sexiness of sewage pumping with the sexiness of Google Ads, we are really a winner here.
We're really in the creepy kind of area. Okay, this is the dark web of sexiness. I'm kind of a little bit scared of where we're going, but yeah, let's. I'm gonna roll with it. Okay, we're gonna go with sewage pumping.
So let's say you went straight for exact match. Your brackets are around sewage pumping company Wigan. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I am. That's what I do. Brilliant. Yeah. But is that what your customers are going to be searching? Probably a very, very, very small minority of them.
Yeah.
There are
all those creeps on the dark web. That's what they're doing. Yeah. Well, they're searching for. Sadly. Good grief.
So that is where you can definitely open up a bit. Now, what I generally recommend is, if you are broadening out a bit, use. This is where we get nice and boring. Use individual ad groups for each area that you're going after. So you might have sewage pumping company. You might do one ad group for that. Then let's say if you've got a similar term, let's say, I don't know, but septic tank cleaning might come into that.
It would. It does. I can tell you from experience, it does. It just gets better and better.
So that's a very different keyword that you're not going to show for. So even if you did a broad match on something like sewage company Wigan, there's a chance you may not show for something like septic tank cleaning Wigan. That's on Google. Once you go broad, you're at Google's mercy, basically. So it is important to make sure that at least you're using phrase match, I think, for all the different areas of your business. Mm-hmm. And what you can do over time then is do what's called a negative keyword list on them. So you're going to, what that means is that, and a great example I always find of this is, let's use the sewage pumping company again. Someone searches for sewage pumping company jobs. You don't want to show for that unless you're hiring at the time. So you can do what's called a negative keyword for jobs, and then any search term with jobs in it and your keywords, your ad won't show, nobody clicks on it, you're not charged. So building a negative keyword list as well over time is really, really important. But yeah, I mean, look, basically if you're starting out from scratch, basically don't use fully broad, probably don't use fully exact, maybe go with phrase match at the start, but the important thing is to monitor your results. Go into your search terms report, see what people are actually searching, and then adapt once you have that data coming in. And if you can have conversion tracking set up, I know that could be a fairly big task for someone who's just kicking off on a simple Google Ads campaign, but it's vital really to know what your results are.
And this is where, guys like yourself come in, though. This is where the agency side comes in. If you want to take that next step, I mean, the fear I always have with, people that go away and do these things themselves. Now, I'm punk. I'm all about doing it yourself, okay? But I always have this thing in the back of my head that if you're going to do it yourself, at least be fucking educated about it. At least know. Don't go in just completely blind and think that. I get a lot of Gary V types that go, well, I'm fucking awesome because I wake up and tell myself in the mirror that I'm fucking awesome. Therefore, I'm just going to breathe on Google Ads. It's going to make me money. No, that's not going to happen. So at least go in educated, at least find out a little bit about it. Like you're alluding to, find out about match types.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much resources out there. I mean, literally just go to you. I mean, there's no excuses in terms of learning about Google Ads. It's all there. It's all online. If you want to do it yourself, you absolutely can kick off your own Google Ads campaign yourself, 100%.
And if you want to take it to the next level, go and find someone that is at that level to be able to take it forward from you. Because at the end of the day, and I always say this to clients as well, if we're inheriting a client's Google Ads campaign, first of all, I'll always make the call to say whether I'm going to keep this or not, or just throw it in the bin and do it again, because that does happen. Sometimes you could just get a little bit lucky, and we want to do things properly and do things professionally, so we think we're going to get more from it. The other side of it is actually, when it comes down to it, as a service, you actually get a pretty good deal. The majority of the money that you spend when you're doing Google Ads with an agency, it goes to Google, and then there's a small fee. There's a small amount of that, a small little scope, which is a case of just paying for the people to go and look at it and do it, who know what they're doing, and taking it that little bit further. So making that next step is not huge. It's not a huge step. It's almost like just increasing 100%. Your spend a little bit.
100%. And you could have that made back so quickly as well, because you'll identify the opportunities, you'll identify the waste, you'll implement all the tracking to make sure you're actually measuring results. Split testing is absolutely massive. I mean, a lot of people, when they'll set up their own Google Ads campaign as well, they'll do one ad. That ad could be completely shit. You might have all your keywords perfect, but if your ad's completely shit, then you're fucked.
Which brings me on to another point, actually. You mentioned before about Google has made a massive push in the artificial intelligence space, the machine learning space. I suppose that's really what it is. It is machine learning. It's taking data which you produced and then trying to make a lot of changes very, very quickly in order to help you out. You made the point, which I agree with, that it's very, very tempting just to go down that path, because Google is essentially telling you, hey, we'll do all this work for you. Just press this button. And it's almost like, that classic scene in Hitchhiker's Guide where they just said, just hit this red button, and then a thing comes up, don't hit this red button again. It's that kind of thing, which is true. There is some value to it, I suppose, further on down 100%. The line.
I mean, if you're looking at the dynamic stuff where you can, set up multiple different headlines and multiple different descriptions, and it will test them for you. Stuff like that is absolutely fantastic. I But the problem I have with it is, so much of their opportunities are increase the budget.
Yes, exactly. Which I always find entertaining. If you go onto the Google Ads platform, and you will find this, they provide you with a list of recommendations. I believe they call it. It's a list of recommendations, and they will attribute it with it's very discreet, a little percentage. If you do X, it will increase your outcome by this amount of percent. And usually, it's a case of, do some negative keyword stuff. This will increase it by 1%. If you want to add some of these keywords, you will increase it by 2%. If you want to increase your budget by, say, I don't know, £10,000, then it'll increase it 100,000%. Obviously, be aware that Google will, and that is a key thing, being aware that Google will push you down the avenue of spend more. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of phone calls from Google ad representatives every single day. In fact, they've died off now. I don't know whether they have targets to meet, but I used to get a lot of calls from Google ads representatives saying, hey, we'll take you through your Google ads campaign and help you make it better. And I'm going, well, thank you very much. And inevitably, their advice is always, hey, would you consider doubling your budget? And I'm going, well, it's not my money to spend. But, their advice is always just throw more money at it. And in fact, it's a lot more complicated, and it's got a lot more to it than just throwing more money at it. Actually, our jobs, and your job is more about making the most of the money being put in.
100%. Yeah, it is. It's about, okay, at this budget, how can we drive more revenue for the client? How can we get more conversions for the client at this budget? Because if you do that, and then you want to spend more, because now you can scale it up. But
exactly
for the opportunity to do it early on in the campaign, when you lower conversion rates, and Google just sees, look, there's this much more traffic available to you, press this button to get it and increase your budget. It makes no sense.
What would you advise anyone think? They've heard this conversation. Google Ads is now sexy to them. It's on par with Angelina Jolie and another attractive person. What's your advice for someone thinking, okay, I want to take that step? Even if they didn't. For me, it would be to work. I'd be really advising, if I was going to be really honest about this, I'd really be saying to someone, don't do it yourself. I think there's more risk there of you getting burned. I know this sounds very salesy, but I would be saying to them, don't do it yourself. There is a lot of risk in terms of getting burned. You can very, very easily, if you don't know what you're doing, burn through a lot of money very quickly. It can sometimes get away from you. I would be seeking an expert. I'd be seeking an agency to be able to manage that for them.
Yes, if you're in the position to do that, 100%. If you don't have the time, 100%, that is going to make you more money and save you more money in the long run. If you are going at it yourself, like you said earlier, do your research. Don't just go in, sign up, and start building a campaign because here are the keywords Google recommends to me. Don't go that route. Go on YouTube, learn about the match types, learn about ad extensions, learn about split testing ads. All sounds ridiculous to you right now, I'm sure, but once you go down the rabbit hole for a couple of hours, then go into Google Ads and build your campaign. Pause it. Don't activate it straight away. Pause it. Go off, do some more research, come back, make some changes, and then set a nice small daily budget for yourself once you're happy with everything. Let it run for a week and come back and then analyze your data and see where you are then. I definitely wouldn't be going in gung-ho straight away, big budget, all the keywords, off you go, 100%. No, that is a recipe for disaster.
Which is another really good point, because it's actually the reverse of how we think about SEO, because with SEO, you kind of have to do that. You have to invest money because money is time. And if you want to get started, starting with a small budget, although it's possible, all that really means is you're going to get to from A to B a lot slower. and you might have to sort of close down your ambitions and your expectations a little bit. With Google Ads, it's a little bit different. You can really start small, and you can move with a small budget. And if you've invested, okay, you'll have to invest the time in order to set it up right and get it to that point. But you can start with a small budget, invest a little bit of time, and you can grow and you can grow. And you can wait for the data to be right for you. You can wait for your return on investment to be right for you. And then you can increase that budget a little bit more, which is honestly a really nice platform. Like I say, it's a really nice platform that allows you to be able to do that.
100% it is. And it's, as I say, definitely things like Facebook ads, the way they've structured it, probably gets used automatically by small businesses a lot more because they see that boost button at the end of their on the organic post, and off they go.
Yeah. To be fair, though, we had smart campaigns. Obviously, I'm sure you remember Google Ads smart campaigns. I used to always sigh when I used to inherit a smart campaign because it used to be a pain in the backside to get it to not be a smart campaign. But no, we had we had smart campaigns, which, if I remember rightly, a smart campaign was you used to press a button and put your URL in, and that was essentially it. It just used to do everything for you somehow.
That is the broadest of all broad matches.
It is, yeah. It is the Merlin wizardry of Google Ads. Fortunately, they don't do that anymore because they were terrible, if I remember rightly. I mean, they were absolutely god-awful and didn't do anybody any favors whatsoever.
Never set one up anyway, so I actually don't know that much about them, to be honest.
Which is a good thing. There you go. That's the one thing.
I can't remember inheriting any either.
No, you've never inherited. Oh, I used to inherit many. Maybe that's a sign of the kind of clients that I take on board. But I should really start broadening out my my horizons in terms of onboarding. But no, I mean, yeah, I used to inherit a hell of a lot of smart ads. But yeah, it was they were terrible. They were absolutely god awful. I mean, they were the ones where I just go, no, we're not working with this. We're just going to move on from this, and we're gonna build you something completely new, which I think is the right way to go about it. But no, you're right. I mean, there is a lot, and this is kind of alluding back to the point that I was making before about that path of least resistance in terms of starting out. With Facebook and with Instagram, there is just a button that you can hit, and that makes it very, very easy. And with Google Ads, you don't really have that button that you can hit, at least not anymore. Thank goodness, because and I'm sure you found the same when you've been doing this kind of stuff. Actually, when you boost posts, I mean, sometimes it can work, but if you're just boosting a very generic post, you're not going to get anything from it.
You'll get reach.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not value. That's not value at the end of the day. That's just ego stroking. Okay, at the end of the day, it means absolutely nothing. Let's talk. Are there any other common mistakes and errors that clients sort of make when it comes to starting a Google Ads campaign?
I think the other big one is not kind of utilizing ad extensions. So what ad extensions are, especially if you're in actually it doesn't matter. I was going to say if you're in a competitive market, but non-competitive as well. They're especially on phone, the screen real estate is fairly valuable.
Yeah.
So with ad extensions, you can add all these little bits of extra information to your ad that are extraordinarily helpful to the searcher.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add things like, your Google My Business profile. So like they can get your Google map straight in for directions straight from your ad. You can add your phone number on there. If you're a restaurant, you can put a link to your menu in there. You're a gym, you can put a link to your timetable on there. And what these do as well is to make your ad bigger and bigger and bigger, which obviously gives you more of that sweet, valuable mobile real estate when people search. So they're going to have to start scrolling before they get to your competitor. So that's a big thing that I think is hugely important as well, because it has a massive effect on your click-through rate, which can also drive down your cost per click, what you end up paying for your ads. So definitely adding once you're happy with the keywords that you're not getting your site traffic, definitely get the ad extensions on. Actually, you should have them on at the start, but definitely add on your ad extensions. The most common ones, your phone number, it's obviously a huge one. Google Maps, so connecting to your Google My Business profile. And then links, which would be all the different links to your website. So like I said there, for example, if you're a restaurant, you might have your menu, booking, contact us. Really, the things exactly people would be looking for, basically. But the real thing I love about that is it just gives you so much of the real estate on mobile.
It does, and it does really increase that click-through rate. I mean, if you're one of these people that doesn't have an extensions put on, it's always one of the first experiments that I do with new clients. You sort of put them on, and you go, "I've taken your click-through. I've not made any of the changes. I've taken your click-through and taken it from here to here." And you can generally see it over the course of 24 hours. You know, if you've done it over that course of 24 hours, you can generally see that click-through increase. And it may only be 1-2%, but 1-2% of click through is massive. Yeah, absolutely huge. If someone is going to come to you and go, "Hey, Mark, I want you to take on our Google Ads," what information do you need? What information do you need from them? So, what are the things that you ask them, the questions that you talk about, the things that you go away and ask them to have a think about and then come back to you on? Because I think that's always key and crucial, because I always think that if you want to get the best out of working with a partner, an agency, whatever it is, the key and the crux of it is just being on the same page, being communicating correctly and being on the right page with each other. So what are the things that you would ask from them?
So the first thing we always do, we're asking a client, is we have to get to know what their customer is like. What mindset is their customer in? What are their customers searching? A great platform for this is if a company has FAQs they've built up over time. You can really get to know the questions that customers are going to have.
Yeah.
So that's an absolute. I mean, the way I look at it is when we're building a Google Ads campaign, I always say to the guys, okay, just put yourself in the mindset that you are a customer for this business.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key. Now, obviously, if you own the business as well, and we find this ourselves, is you can make a lot of assumptions about what people would search. So what is a really good exercise to do if you're a business owner and you're asking the question how people found you, and they say, "Oh, I found you online." It's like, "Oh, what did you search?" And you'd be amazed at some of the random stuff that ends up coming in. But that's all really valuable data. Now, that's obviously, it's not digital marketing. That's the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
But that is good, valuable data. So it is key for anybody building your Google Ads campaign that they really, really understand your customer, because that's who you want to attract. That's who you want to fill out that form. That's who you want to have that click to call. So that has to be key. New client coming in, then we'd say we've got to the point, okay, we really understand your customer. If they have existing analytics, Google Ads, all that, obviously we take all that data as well, and that can be amazingly valuable in building out a new Google Ads campaign. If they have none of that, then we build everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And the big thing we do, I suppose, that I don't know in your area, but definitely in here, that a lot of people don't do is on-site split testing. Mm-hmm. So we incorporate a lot of that into Google Ads, because you could have a fantastic Google Ads campaign, great click-through rate, great cost per click. They're hitting the website, but then they're hitting the website and they're not converting.
Yeah.
So we often build landing pages, use tools like Google Optimize or Unbounce to make sure that traffic is actually being turned into leads or sales for the client. And if it's not, identify why it's not. Because your marketing, your Google Ads is one side of the equation, but what they do on the website, that's where the money is made.
It's very true. And I think sometimes people get confused. They think it's all one journey, but actually you have to think of it as sort of hops between journey, don't you? You have to, there is the hop between just searching for something and getting that person to the website. There's the hop between that person being on the website and finding the information that they need, and where they need to go to actually convert. And then there's that hop as well. So there is multiple hops you need to take into account.
I mean, if you're this is why you do use an agency, because you get that whole customer journey, the tracking the whole way through it, the testing the whole way through it, optimizing the whole way through it. If you're a small business owner, obviously you can't do that, I suppose. And what I just want to get through today was, the simple mistakes that when you do set up your Google Ads account, okay, these are the things to really watch out for. But there is so much more you can be doing to obviously increase the return on investment from your Google Ads.
Absolutely. And not forgetting, of course, that there's, outside of search, actually, there's so much more in terms of the product set.
Google Shopping is fantastic. Some of the returns on ad spend we have seen from that, even.
Mark, I'm gonna have to bring you back to talk about Google Shopping because there's so much. I hadn't even thought of Google Shopping then, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Google Shopping is a massive platform. It's going through a massive change in the next 12 months, which I'll have to get you back on to talk about and discuss. Talk about Google Shopping just for a second.
So Google Shopping is when you, instead of your text search ad at the top, you see the row of products. And it'll show the photo of the product with the price. So again, massive buyer intent. I'll use the trampoline example again. You're searching for buy trampoline online. The photo of the product is there. The price is there. Oh, they offer free shipping. Click. And I'm done. It's hugely impressive, some of the returns on ad spend that can be got from that.
Yeah. Very low cost per click. Generally quite a low cost per click.
Much lower than search. Yeah. It's definitely, I don't know about in the UK market, but definitely in the Irish market, it is getting more and more competitive. But it's still, again, it obviously depends on your niche and your products you're going after. But yeah, there's some of the returns on investment in that are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, they are. And, it's been a very powerful tool that we've used for some of our e-commerce clients, certainly because the difficulty is, and it sounds all wonderful, the difficulty is getting the technical side of it right, because there is a technical element to the Google Shopping campaign. You have to generate a feed of products, all this kind of stuff. And again, getting the tracking right, because it's now you're talking more than just conversions. You're talking about cart. Cart abandonment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can't, a Google Shopping campaign, you just have to have your tracking set up for it. With Google search, look, you have to have it for that as well. But if you're going out yourself, fair enough. But shopping, no, you 100% have to have it, because what can often end up happening is this small subset of products is what's driving all the revenue. So you need to know exactly what's happening in a shopping campaign.
Bigger than that, obviously, in the next 12 months, we've just heard in very, very recently. In fact, I think we heard it just at the start of lockdown, the fact that Google Shopping is now going to become a platform which is going to be, to a degree, an extension, free in inverted commas. So it's going to be an extension of sort of natural search. So we're going to have, you can generate, as far as, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to be able to generate a feed for your shopping. You can upload that to Google Merchant Center, which is how it works at the moment. And that feed, without paying for it, is going to go up on Google Shopping. Obviously, what this means is we're going to have the what I'm going to call the organic shopping feed, which I'm sure we're going to have the organic feed, and then we're going to have the same kind of thing that we have for search at the moment. So we're going to have paid adverts in the shopping tab as well. For me, that, I don't know what your feelings are on that matter, and I'm sure people are going, oh, well, it's going to saturate it, but this is no different from how search works. And for me, what it means is you're going to have more eyes on that shopping feed, on that shopping tab, more people using it, because suddenly you've got a broader set of products there. Suddenly you've not just got people's products who have paid for it to go on there, you've got everybody there. And if you're then going to apply an additional layer of adverts on top of that, I think you're going to increase the traffic. You're going to increase the number of eyeballs on that feature and on the SERPs, and you're going to see a better return on investment on your adverts in the shopping feed. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it will be really interesting. I think, like, 100%. If they're doing it like the way I'm interpreting they're doing it, if you have any sort of e-commerce site now, get yourself set up in Merchant Center and have that feed to go.
And do it now. Yeah, do it now. Yeah.
But because I do, the way I'm envisioning it is, as you say, this is just another form now of search results. Mm-hmm. How are they going to rank them organically? How they're going to do that will interest me a lot, because are they going to do it along the lines of the regular search results page? Or is there going to be, it obviously won't be exactly the same, but I'd be really interested, because I'll come back to that trampoline stand thing, and we have some really good organic rankings around the keywords for them, right? Mm. And obviously we're using Google Shopping as well. But when they're products now for those same keywords, if they're searching Google Shopping, I'll be interested to see if products come across, how basically they're going to be producing the organic results, we'll say, for shopping. I haven't dug into it, so I don't know if there's any data or any information around it yet.
I don't think that there is, as far as I'm aware. I think, but that's a really key question. Are we going to see a subset of SEO which is going to be organic shopping? Because let's be honest, if we think about it, Google has done such a fantastic job. Google are the police of the internet. Let's be honest, okay? Because they go around and make sure that if you want to get your websites and internet pages seen, that you're going to have to improve your quality, la-di-da-di-da, all of this stuff which falls under SEO. But actually what's fallen down there is what we're currently in a sort of scenario of at the moment. We have in the e-commerce market a bunch of big players, eBay, Amazon, obviously, and all your big players, okay, which have all created fantastic e-commerce environments. However, what you don't have is a fair playing field for everybody else. We tend to find that all of your secondary, tertiary kind of e-commerce stores are kind of, if you are providing a product which is on the same level as Amazon and, I'm trying to think of other ones, AO or things like that, if you are below them, you're going to find it very difficult to compete with them. And I think the point is, if we're going to find ourselves in a organic shopping competitor marketplace, we're going to find a lot of tertiary and quandary, if that's the right word, sort of e-commerce platforms and businesses upping their level, upping their quality.
Yeah, hopefully it becomes like the farmer's market of online shopping, basically.
Yeah, exactly, which is not a bad thing at all if you think about it.
Fantastic, because there's no doubt. Look, Amazon is fantastic at what they do, and they're dominating it. But I mean, with all the Shopify has exploded during COVID now, with so many businesses going online. We work on WooCommerce and stuff like that an awful lot as well. Mm-hmm. There are so many more businesses moving online who will end up kind of competing, with the likes of Amazon and all that. So if there is a more of a level playing field with this shopping platform, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm very curious as to how exactly the organic listings and it will be measured. It'll be really interesting to see.
It will be interesting to see. Mark, just before I let you go, thank you so much. Before I do let you go, just tell us what's going on at Cliq at the moment. Am I right in saying you've grown over this lockdown?
March and April were like a kick in the stomach.
Yeah. Which is a story we're hearing everywhere. I think is the case. It's definitely a story we're hearing everywhere.
But
not so much anymore.
We took a hit like kind of every business did. But yes, now business is coming back. They're all like, we need to go online. We need to go online. We need to go online.
Understandably.
So definitely coming out of this it's getting extraordinarily busy. Mm-hmm. So I think by next month everything will be flying. Jen, actually, who was on the podcast, which is, she's actually leaving us. She's going setting up on her own.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So fair play to her. Hopefully it all goes well now. But Pamela just started with us there. Started this week as well. So you might see, if you're on our LinkedIn, be great if you check us out there or like us on LinkedIn. It's Cliq Media and Marketing. So yeah, it's all exciting. Everything is changing quickly. Even during this, we've kind of made some changes to the podcast area. So hopefully when we're back in the office, maybe next week, possibly even, we'll see. Yeah. We'll have a whole new podcasting area. So you can check out our podcast as well, the Digital Marketing Scoop, on all the regular podcasting places. And hopefully we'll have a nice new studio to see our podcast clips across LinkedIn and Instagram. So we're still not 100% whether we'll be back next Monday or not in the office. Well, I'm in here on my own at the moment, but hopefully next week we'll see how things go.
Well, I cannot wait to see how you go on. I'm going to be keeping tabs as usual. We're going to be staying in contact, I'm sure, and seeing how Cliq get on. I can't wait to see this level of mystery when it comes to the new podcast area. That's interesting. Let's see how that. You've had some fantastically handsome guests in the past, which is, you should go and check out the Marketing Scoop. There's no doubt about that. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Do you think we've accomplished the mission of making Google Ads sexy?
Well, if we can't, Thomas, nobody can.
Exactly. Mark, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you, mate.
Pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. So there you have it, the wonderful, the fantastic Mark Flavin from Cliq Media. Go and check him out. Go and check out Cliq Media and see what they're doing. It's amazing. You should go and check out the Digital Marketing Scoop. That is an amazing podcast. Like I mentioned, they have some sexy as F guests, including myself. I love Mark. Mark's a great guy. Really, really nice to talk to every single time. I hope to get him on more. Maybe I should. If you liked Mark, let me know. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because that was a super long interview. So if you do have any questions, queries, or feedback about the show, don't forget you can get in contact with me. I'd love to hear from you. I truly would. Punkcast@dmpunk.co.uk. That's the place where you go. Type that into your emaily bit, okay? Punkcast@dmpunk.co.uk. You can also connect with me across all social media. Find me on Facebook, facebook.com/IamDMPunk, or on Twitter @IamDMPunk. Instagram @IamDMPunk. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn as well by searching for Digital Marketing Punk. I'd like to ask you a favor, people. I'd like to ask you a wee little tiny favor. If you can please go and subscribe to the Digital Marketing Punkcast, this show, and if you could also show your appreciation by giving me a 5-star review on iTunes. I would also love that because it helps me climb the rankings of Apple Podcasts. It's not even called iTunes anymore, is it? It's called Apple Podcasts. I need to change that. It's Apple Podcasts. So it'll help me climb the Apple Podcasts ladder, as it were. So I'd love for you to do that. Please go and do it. Just search for Digital Marketing Podcast on Apple Podcasts, and you'll see. It'll ask you, what rating do you want to give this show? And you'll go, do I give it a 1 or do I give it a 5? And even if you think it deserves a 1, I think you want to give it a 5. Just please. Anyway, please go and do that. I hope you'll also join me on the next episode of the Digital Marketing Punkcast. I will see you then.